If you're a Tribe fan who loves chocolate, you're in luck. Albert Bell candy bars, popcorn baseballs, and the Grand Slam are the hottest items in town. In fact, this year, folks are filling up their Easter baskets with the red, white, and blue instead of the traditional pastel-colored candy. But if you don't make it by Easter, not to fear. You can buy the Tribe-themed chocolate all year round.
And finally tonight, they say a mother's love is one of the strongest forces in the world, and a stray cat and her babies are living proof of that. The cat went into a burning building 5 times to rescue each of her kittens. Firefighters rushed the cats to the Animal League, where a trauma team treated their burns.
If you're a mother yourself, which I am, you certainly feel for her and what she did, and you know, I'm sure she didn't think about it.
The North Shore Animal League, where the cats were taken, have reportedly received more than 700 calls from people who want to adopt the mother and her 4-week-old kittens. Aren't they cute?
Oh, wow, sweet. They're going to have a lot of calls. They're going to be turning people away.
Yeah, talk about a mother's love. It's just something, it's instinct, I guess. Even in animals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Even in animals. How neat. Well, thank you for sharing part of your evening with us.
Stay tuned to Channel 8 for a special hour-long Sunday sports page. It's going to be very good. Stay tuned.
Yes, and from all of us here at Channel 8, have a good night and a great week ahead.
See you next weekend, everyone.
Cruelty tonight. A local family found their cat with an arrow through its head. But incredibly, the cat survived, and police are trying to find out who did it.
He looks like your average tabby, but this little guy survived an incredible ordeal.
She called me at my mother's house and told me the cat had an arrow through his head, and I said, yeah, right.
Meow is right. Somebody did shoot Buffy through the head with this arrow near his house in Eaton Township.
I looked down at him and I see his arrow in his head, and I closed my eyes, so I thought maybe I was seeing things.
But Buffy went on as if nothing had happened.
He just walked over to the dog's dish and started eating.
He said, well, what's he doing now? And I said, eating. He said, what? I said, he's eating. He says, well, bring him in.
The vet gave Buffy anesthesia to get the arrow out and antibiotics to prevent infection.
They took the arrow out and he brought him home and he's fine.
In fact, in just 2 days, not only has he completely healed, he even had his old appetite back.
Buffy's our little pig. He likes to eat.
While the Krugmans have their cat in good health, the Lorain County Police are still trying to track down the person who did this.
And we hope they find them. Well, imagine just...
'100th season, probably a 24-hour special. We'll have Albert Bell on live. He'll take phone calls for 6 hours.
Well, you know, 8 is news, and we'll become like the Tribe channel. We'll just do 24 hours of Tribe. And, you know, Albert Bell will become a member of the Channel 8 news team, along with being a player, because we do have Sharon Hargrove as part of our team. We'll have Albert Bell along with us.
Well, you know, the 8 on his uniform back means Channel 8.
There is design there.
Well, you know what, John? The Indians finished a long spring training. They had a barnstorming tour to Nashville, to Columbus, Cleveland, Atlanta. They finished it today in Columbus, taking on the Reds for what they call the Ohio Cup. Casey Coleman was with the Tribe as they concluded spring training.
Well, the Indians were the home team in the battle for the Ohio Cup today, and that was obvious taking one look at the stands. Many more Tribe hats and paraphernalia than you see Cincinnati stuff. If it's Sunday, this must be Columbus. You'll have to pardon the Indians players if they're a tad confused. I mean, think about it. They've been in West Palm Beach. They've been in Melbourne. They've been in Winter Haven. They've been in Nashville. They've been in Atlanta. They've been in Cleveland. And now, like I said, in Columbus. And given their druthers, they wouldn't do this again. Is it true that you put this spring training schedule together?
Oh, yeah. Every bit of it, yeah. No, I didn't have much to do with this one. I wish I had.
But you're right. It's been hectic this last week. We've been everywhere.
Atlanta just seems like we were there a couple months ago. And we were like, hey, what day is this? So it's taking its toll on us.
But despite all the mileage, despite all the unpacking and packing, the best thing about this club is they're peaking at just the right time. I mean, they have been winning at an awesome clip the last 2 weeks. Perfect for tomorrow's home opener.
We really kicked it in at about, the last last 15 days of spring training, we really kicked it in, and now I think we're being more focused on the fundamentals. You know, it's like I said all spring, it's tough to repeat and do what we did as a team last year, so we need to concentrate on winning games the fundamental ways.
We're playing well, and everybody seems to be ready to go, so we're excited.
And so is the city of Cleveland and all of Northeast Ohio. Casey Coleman, 8 is News with the Tribe in Columbus for the Sports Page.
You know, John, this barnstorming trip probably paid half their spring training bills.
Well, you know, they go to Puerto Rico. I mean, this is kind of crazy. But hey, it's one way to, and they may be a bit on the tired side, but they're playing perfect ball at just about the right time of the year. In fact, they end up the spring on a very good note, ladies and gentlemen, 21-13 record. And let's take a look at what happened this past weekend.
Strange if there was
the past weekend saw the Indians' bats light up as they came back north from Florida. On Saturday, the Indians returning to Jacobs Field, and Eddie Murray, after struggling all spring, goes deep. And one of the least likely to go yard also went deep as Omar Vizquel hits one out of the park. The Indians win 8-6. Today in the Ohio Cup down in Columbus, Manny Ramirez hit his 8th home run of the spring. The Indians went on to win 5-3. But the story of the day is that the Indians trade Mark Clark to the Mets for outfielder Ryan Thompson and pitcher Reed Cornelius. Casey Coleman talked to the Indians after the trade.
We just felt that while we like Mark a lot, and Mark is a very good major league pitcher, that maybe some of our youngsters would be better down the road than Mark is right now.
You know, everybody knows how I feel about Mark Clark. It's a very tough day, but you know, in this game you have to realize that things happen, and you still have to stay focused on what you want to do.
And, of course, what, 20 wins in the last couple of years?
Yeah, and Mark Clark, I am going to miss him, John. Yeah. 20 wins in the last 2 years. I would have found another solution.
You really? Such
yeah,
as?
I would. Well, I don't have it right now, but I would have found one. I would, but I want this guy on. I would have wanted this guy on the roster 2 years from now, or even a year from now, when Martinez and Hershiser aren't here.
Okay, well, we'll see if they can lay the groundwork for that. But nonetheless, coming up next on 8 is News, the Sports Page, we are going to take a look at the Indians pitching staff, and we'll tell you who is in tomorrow's opening day lineup.
As we returned to camp, we were surprised to find a family of vervet monkeys who had evidently found a new plaything. The vervets had figured out how to open the sunroof, adjust the air conditioning, and even turn on the stereo. The vervet's intelligence, however, was ultimately called into question as our Beethoven and Rachmaninoff CDs were left untouched. The preceding has been brought to you by the all-new